Let's set the record straight. We got where we were because we listened to people. This is the Life Given Podcast. I'm Isaac Lopez. So today should be actually a pretty short show. I'm actually recording this on the hottest day, so forgive me if it seems like I have beads of sweat on my face because I have beads of sweat on my face, and it's a very warm day, even though I'm trying to sit by an open window. But today, I want to discuss something that I think is one of the reasons why we have gotten, why the government specifically has gotten to where they are today with the power that they wield today, and we have been tricked because of this logical fallacy, and because we believed in the idea of authority. More on that in just a second. But I want to play this clip for you from Dave Chappelle's 8:46 special, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, obviously referencing the murder of George Floyd by the police officer Derek Chauvin. And he did a special, and this is a month ago. On June 11th, it's available on YouTube. I'll link to it in the description. I will recommend that you watch it with some filters, or just be ready to let your filters down, because he uses quite a bit of language and there's some obscene jokes. But there is this clip in here that I want to play for you that I think really captures the spirit of 76. I don't think he meant it this way, but I think it's time that we actually start thinking critically about what we're being told in the United States of America. Here it is. And before we jump in, just a warning, there is some language. I'll try to cut it out, but just realize that if it sounds like it's been clipped a little bit, I'm only trying to clip out the language. And so if it sounds a little rough, that's not necessarily Chappelle. Here you go.
Tonight, I'm in my little clubhouse, and I'm watching Don Lemon, that hot man of reality. Has anyone ever listened to me do comedy? Have I not ever said anything about these things before? So now all of a sudden it affects me to step in front of the streets and talk over the work these people are doing as a celebrity. Ask me, do you want to see a celebrity right now? Does it matter about celebrity? No. This is the streets talking for themselves. They don't need me right now. I kept my mouth shut.
So I came across this clip, actually this special, from a clip from a CNN interview or the CNN talk show that popped up in my feed. Okay, so that's how researching for this podcast goes. So don't worry, this is it's a very reliable process. Don't ask questions. Anyway, don't pay attention to the man that's behind the curtain. Anyway. And he's referencing a question. Well, actually, I got to this because Don Lemon was asked about this specific thing, and I think that that Dave Chappelle just lays out quite well. I honestly don't agree with the majority of his special, but he does make a very interesting point, and that is the expectation of people that are put on by celebrities, that are put on our celebrities and our political figures, to come out and have a stance on an issue, so that way we know what to think, so that way we know how we should react to a situation. It's almost like just because these people make more money and are very proficient in their field, whether it's acting, whether it's athletics, whether it's any of these things, we are waiting on them hand and foot to hear what they have to say. And even if these people, much like the rest of us, lead very busy lives and haven't been able to have the opportunity to research. So I think he's saying something slightly different here on it, but the principle is the same. The fact that like these streets he references, the protesters and riots don't need my voice. They're doing just fine. And I think that that is a very, very powerful statement in a society that really does seem to have this elitism, or this idea that those people that make a lot of money are therefore qualified to tell us how to think and how to feel. And like, that's our signal, that's our green lights. Okay, now that we know that Beyonce thinks a certain way, now I know what I should think. And I think that there's a danger to that. I just went to CNN's website. I read a number of their newsletters, and this phrase, and not just CNN. Okay, I don't want to just bag on them, because I think they get a very bad rap, and I think rightfully so. But it's really easy. CNN's almost like the straw man of news sites. And I'll put that in scare quotes. Anyway, so CNN does this. They commit this fallacy of arguing from authority. And many other sites do this. Fox News does it, MSNBC, Bloomberg. This phrase that has been thrown around even more because of how quickly the news cycle has grown and how it has sped up recently. The experts. The experts say that death tolls are predicted to rise. Like that. That's literally the title I just saw of this article. And I didn't even, I read the article, but that's not even what I want to talk about. I want to talk about when people read this article, all they reference is the expert, or articles that reference so-and-so PhD from Harvard, or from like this law school, or from this medical institution. And when we see those letters after the name, we naturally want to trust them because they've worked hard and they've researched in that field. And we'll get to that in a second, because I think that there is good grounds to believe someone who has done their research and has dedicated their life to something. But that doesn't mean that they can't get it wrong. Okay, I think that we need to spend more time thinking for ourselves on issues, instead of waiting for our political and public figures to speak. That for those figures that we agree with to speak, right? So, because we could have, say, Ellen DeGeneres comes out and says something, I will most likely not agree with her based off of her beliefs being so contradictory to mine. Okay, so like, there is things that like I will probably just disagree with when I see a tweet from her, but it would be wrong of me to wait to hear someone, say like Tucker Carlson, come out and then just immediately agree with them. That's not exactly thinking for yourself. That's not exactly taking responsibility for the knowledge that is circulating out there. Think, because we live in a society where we have been trained what to think, not how to think, and how to think and think critically through issues. And some of these and because we have been taught what to think, and this is what you're supposed to feel, and this is what you should do, we have become we have developed almost a hive mind mentality. Like that, there's are the few that get to say what they think, and then the rest of the people that hear, that get to receive that from on high, then they need to adopt those beliefs in their life. And I don't think that is congruent with the Christian faith at all. We are called to take responsibility in our faith, but this is where I want to caution and make sure we don't just want to think for ourselves and devolve into anarchy. Right? There's a proverb in chapter 11, verse 14, that says, where there is no guidance, a people falls. Okay, so that's where we would be falling if we did not listen to the right, if we did not seek counsel. But the last bit of this verse, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. So altogether, the verse says, when there is no guidance, a people falls. But in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. And I think that is a key thing to realize, because we have an abundance of quote unquote counselors. in this country. We have a bunch of experts, but they're all saying the same thing, and they're all saying it with the expectation that you are just going to do it. And in this idea, this proverb, I think that in an abundance of the right kind of counselors, you want to surround yourself with the people that you can trust, but also this does not preclude you from doing your own thinking, from doing your own kinds of research. And that's the thing that I think that has gotten us into trouble when it comes to the coronavirus, and when it comes to debating secondary lockdowns, or debating the second wave of the coronavirus. And already people are predicting this is just the summer. Wait till we get to the wintertime. Well, hold on now. Let's slow down and let's actually look at the data. What is the data? And the data is very accessible to people like you and I. The data is is out there for everyone to see, for the majority of the data. So it's important. We are coming to a critical time, and I would say that time is now, that people like you and I need to start thinking for ourselves. And then not only that, to have conversations with people that may not agree with us, so that way we can reason through the things that we might be in error over, or the things that could really sharpen and strengthen our argument. And then go to the people that you trust, that don't necessarily have an agenda on their hands, because I think our experts have a very strong agenda that they are wanting to play into the rest of 2020, and especially in this election cycle. So just a thought for your Monday. How are you thinking for yourself? How are you taking control of the information that is out there and making it your own? How do you take the information that is out there, the beliefs that you have because you've been told by people you trust, and have you made it your own? Have you grown into your knowledge, and has your faith helped you with that? So just a few questions to mull over. I know that I'm considering these, and that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because I think that more people need to take responsibility for what's going on in their lives, and to not just live passively through a culturally crazy time. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed what you listened to. And if you really do find that this show is enjoyable to listen to, and even if it's not, but you find that it's useful in some way, please subscribe on whatever platform that you listen to this podcast, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts. We're on a couple others. And share it with your friends, because there's a lot of people out there that the people that listen to this podcast, and the people I think need this podcast, are the reason why I started it. It's because Christians like you and I are very busy, but that doesn't give us an excuse. It shouldn't give us an excuse to ignore what's going on around us. So if you find that this helps you get ready in a quick fashion, and it's not a long podcast, then subscribe. And if you know someone that needs to hear and stay up to date on current events, share it with them. And let me know. Reach out to me. I'm on Instagram @_TLG podcast_, or on Parler, because that's where a lot of conservatives are going for good reason. And I'll get to that later in a later episode. But at Parler, at TLG Podcasts, and then on Facebook at The Life Given News, and on Gmail. Yes, I have email at the life given and received @gmail.com. Anyway, remember that the life that you've been given and the life that you have received includes every area of life. Your current events are no exception. God bless.